Well, hello guys, welcome to my channel, and for those of you who have been following my recent videos, welcome to another flight here in the Eastern Airways livery as we do a bit of a few different, we've been doing a couple of flights with the two airlines that have just recently left us with Blue Island, and now we're here with Eastern Airways. We've been doing a few flights with Eastern Airways, and our last flight was up to Wick. As you remember, if you saw that video, it was a very average day flying in. So, and I was a bit busy too, so I didn't get around to doing a return flight. But it's turned out quite well because we're now going to depart out of here on a nice, beautiful, crisp winter's morning here from Wick. I'm just going to change the time, make it like we're doing it early morning. Well, not early morning, because if it's early morning, too early, it'll be pitch black. But yeah, we're going to go head on down to Teeside International Airport. I don't think I've flown there at all in Flight Simulator, so it'll be a first time for me. And yeah, we'll get into the aircraft, we'll get it powered up, we'll use hotel mode. We'll just pretend, like I did in my last video, pretend that there is no ground power unit available. So we'll get that powered up, get this aircraft heated up. 1 degree, that's pretty cold. I guess it can get colder. Mind you, being near the coast, it's probably, I can imagine temperatures are sort of kind of insulated with the ocean. Anyway, we'll get going. We'll depart on out whatever runway FS HUD gives us, and yeah, we'll have a nice little morning flight down to Teeside International Airport, and then from there we might head up to the Shetland Islands, up to this airport here. Is that the airport I'm going to? Yeah, we'll head up to Wick Airport. I'll give it a go up there, see what it's like. And then from there, who knows where we'll go. We'll go somewhere, but we'll try and make Aberdeen our sort of last port. There's a few routes that they did. I probably won't go to all of them. We'll go to a few different airports that we haven't been to, and yeah, we'll get into it. Let's get into this aircraft. We will come up here and turn on the battery. Wait for it just to load on up. We'll get these switches, all these lights turned on for when we do power up the aircraft. What am I doing now? While that's loading up, I'll just sort of do some of our flight plan, our position in it. We'll just copy and paste like so, return a flight plan in it. We'll get our flight plan loaded up. So yeah, we'll go EGPC here up in Wick / EGNV off down to Teeside International Airport, and we'll just do our flight number, which we probably won't change at all during our flight. Right, because we've got our batteries on, we will not mess around with this. We'll get this engine powered up as soon as possible so we don't run the batteries dry. So get that prop brake on, and I'll start that engine. While I'm up here, I'll turn on the logo lights and the nav night lights. get those windshield heaters going, and we'll click on this because it's sort of out of the way so I don't forget that. Alright, we're just going to be taking off from, oh, I better add some fuel into the engine. Right, we'll be taking off from runway 31, execute, and we'll go ahead and enter in the flight plan, which is, as you've seen in my few videos now, it's very straightforward, very easy. Come down to here where our flight plan is. So we're going to go direct to Smoky. Smoky, we'll put it where this discontinuity is, keep it above that. Enter it below those numbers there. And we'll execute that because we're going to do some fly on some airwaves, so that's the only one that's available, and we're going to go to ADN up here, and we're going to jump onto another airwave, P18, to also, which is here, and we're going to execute that, return. Because it's a shortish flight, we'll just see what we're going to be flying an RLS into runway 23, so we enter that in as well, so we're all ahead of ourselves. And it's runway 23 we're going to be landing on, so we'll change that to runway 23. And we'll use the RLS, but we'll just get vectors for our final approach. Add to route, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll get our altitude sorted out. We'll set our altitude, which is, from what I just saw briefly, is I push the magic B button to align our altitude, set our pressure, and we're going to be flying what I saw was 19,000 feet, so I'm going to enter in 19,000, which is just there. Perfect. Now we're going to go back into the data page, go to init, go to perf init, confirm our cruising altitude of 19,000 feet. And then we'll get our weights page, get our flight plan page up, and we'll go ahead and enter in our weights. So we're going to be, we'll just keep the fuel as it is, that's fine, because I think in real life they can't siphon fuel out, so what you have is what you've got. Well, they can, but it's a big long task, so we'll just keep that fuel in like so, and I'm pretty happy with the overall weight. As with Microsoft 2020, everything's just nice and clear and easy to read and understand. So 2547, and our zero fuel weight, if I grab the calculator, it's going to be 21,647 minus 2547, which should give us 19,100, so 19,100, and the moment of truth, yes, it all balances out, so that's perfect. We can get rid of that. We can just get our map page all ready. And I think we can basically close up all the doors. get clearance for pushback and start, which we're not really pushing back as such. We're just going to be, I don't know how this airport works in real life, but we're just going to taxi on out there and then head on out to our departure runway. I'm just clearing all these checklists. I know what I'm doing through repetition. Oh, what I will do is I'll just enter and go to performance. I think it's the transition altitude is either 6,000 or 5,000 feet. It is 6,000 feet. I'll just do 5.9. Next page, and we'll check out, we'll enter in our forecast weather. So it's going to be, once again, we'll do 6,000 for our transition. QNH is going to be 1021. And our wind is going to be, it's going to be a decent day here in Teeside, so 9, we'll just make it 12 for the gust. Sweet, so that's all entered, that's all set, so we're all ready to go. So we'll come up here, we'll turn on our pump, we'll turn on our beacon light, we'll turn on our lights, our what would you call that again? Our passenger announcement signs. We'll turn on our anti-ice because it's going to be, actually it's pretty dry out there, I can imagine. Oh, there's a few clouds around, so maybe we should have our anti-ice on. These will kick into life, I'm assuming, once the once there's proper power to the engine. So right, we're going to remove the chocks and we're going to start up our next engine. So we're just going to start engine number 2, or engine number 1 I should say. Get that fuel in. We can release the prop brake now. And we can select this to off. We'll turn on the TRU while we're up here, and we'll flick these to auto. Give it a bit of gas. Flaps can now come down. We'll now come into this page here and can reset fuel, confirm our takeoff data. Flap 0. Trim is going to be 0.9 up, so we'll just set that. Right, that's pretty good. We'll go through and clear this checklist. Make sure our TNR is, TRU is set. Everything looks pretty normal. Taxi lights can now come on. And I think that's all we need to do. What I will do is I'll go heading, nav, IAS and VNAV, get that set. We'll turn on our transponder, we'll go to navigation where we'll use terrain weather, terrain radar for our display, and I think we're good to go. Departing out on a very icy, cold, well, it's evening now when I've done this video, but for this flight, it's a morning flight, so it'll be a nice, cold, icy winter's morning here, and the very, well, not quite the very top of Scotland, but it's one of the most northerly mainland airports in Britain. I think it is the most northern scheduled mainland airport in the UK, which unfortunately now that they lost Eastern, it's basically a vacant airport. So we're going to get our landing lights and our strobe lights on for preparation for takeoff. We'll just go through these checklists. Oh, one step too far. We'll remove the gust lock, we don't need that anymore. And we'll do a little bit of a backtrack. Alright, let's click on this, set target speed mode to automatic. And if I remember, I'm going to sync my heading course on my on the screen up here. So I'll set that, and we will go. Oh, that's all done. So we can now go to crew selector on your, if you're using a thrustmaster Airbus joystick, and we'll quickly go through and clear all these checklists. And away we go. Speeding on out of Wick Airport. Forgot to do the clear for departure, but that's fine. We can now rotate. Landing gear can now come up. And away we go, folks. What a lovely day to be flying out of Wick. A lovely morning flight. Right, I'm just going to turn on the autopilot now. I'm going to go to heading mode. I'm going to go flaps up. And then we're going to go to cruise mode. Climb mode, I should say. We'll just go to standard mode now. We'll just clear all of these. Clear that checklist. Right, I think we've been given that's the very top of Scotland, just up here, and that's alright, we've been given direct to. We're going to climb out. We'll do a right hand climb out over this part of Scotland. But yeah, over there is where one of my mates come from, Orkney Islands. And once we completed this turn heading back towards the airport, I'm just going to go to nav mode and let the navigation do its thing. And we'll just release our cabin crew and our seatbelt signs. I think they're all good to start doing their service. flying back over the airport over towards Wick, and then we'll be going down the coastline like so. It is a very beautiful little town too, when Wick, when we were there 2 years ago. As the cloud now drifts in and blankets the island. Right, we'll turn off our landing lights, taxi lights, and we can now go ahead and turn off all of these. Actually, no, we'll keep those anti-ice on, and we'll just change our altitude to 19,000 feet. And you can see a little bit of the steep cliffs that surround this part of Scotland. Beautiful, beautiful morning, which would be in real life midnight flight heading down towards Teeside. I think we've cleared most of the moisture there, so we can go ahead and turn off these anti-ice buttons, and we can now come here and just clear that like so. And we'll turn on the weather radar just to pick up any weather that would show up in real life. And yeah, we'll just sit back and relax, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the view, and we'll get back to you when we come closer towards our destination of Teeside International Airport. Welcome back, folks. We're getting close to our top of descent. We're just going to go through. I've already entered in the arrival into my FMC, so we're going to use runway ILS 23. I'm just going to change the settings, so we're just going to disregard that, and we're just going to get vectors. Oh, actually, I'll just see what parking bay we're going to be using as well, so that we'll just figure out which one we're going to be. We'll get a rough idea on the airport layout. So we're going to be using one of these parking bays here. I'm assuming left and right. I'll probably use that one for the that might be predominantly your propeller one, so we'll just go none, and we'll, oh, it's already set to to 1A, so we'll just set it once more, and before we get to our top of descent, we'll sync our heading. We'll just go into heading mode quickly. We'll set up our ILS, so we'll select which course. I'll just slow this down quickly. I'm just going to select my course, which is 227. Scrolling my ILS to 227, which will be coming up very shortly. Sweet, I'm going to go back into FM, select nav mode to get it back into nav mode, and we are going to be, we're already doing 165 at the moment, but we'll set our altitude to 1900 feet, which we can do now. And we'll just go to click on VNAV to get it into VNAV path. Throttle back just a little bit, and we'll just scroll on until we get to our 1900 feet. Coming up in just about right there. That looks perfect, and we will set our minimums, which is going to be 3.1. We'll set it to 320 because it's sort of closer to 320 than it is to 310, and then we'll also come into our viewer ILS, and we'll set up our ILS, which is going to be 108.5, so enter, and then we'll swap that across like so, and then we will just clear this and approach. We'll turn our seatbelt signs very soon, but we were given a QNH, so we'll just go enter that in now, so 2022 or 1022. Like so, so that's our QNH all set. We'll flick on our seatbelt signs. Actually, we'll just do our seatbelt signs and our taxi lights. And that's our, that checklist sorted. And it looks like it's going to be a bit of an average day here, but it doesn't look like I'm getting any weather at all on my weather radar, so I might just get that, turn that off. So it's just one less thing to sort out. Alright, we'll go back into increase the sim rate again. We're all set up for our arrival. And we'll probably get all of our anti-ice on a bit too early, but we'll do it because it's just us in the cockpit. All of these things you do in real life, I'm assuming sort of at your set like 10,000 feet, or when you're going into obvious icing conditions, but when it's just you by yourself, you sort of want to set yourself up to succeed. Be ahead of the game because it's just you in the cockpit. Right, I'm gonna slow this down just a notch. I'm just going to see what they do in real life, what the taxi procedure is, because it looks like it's a Just going to see what taxiway they use, because there is a taxiway at the end, but I'm not too sure if it's the official one or not. Oh yeah, it appears that aircraft just use the one taxiway, so that is the taxiway that we will use. I'll just confirm that again. I'll just get a departure for that for the day I'm looking at it. Actually, they do use the taxiway, so we don't have to worry about backtracking too much, so that's perfect. Some of those airports, some of these UK airports are former, as you'll see, they all former World War II. A lot of these airfields are former World War II bases. As you can see, these sort of like taxiways, these would be barracks and whatnot, and a lot of them, most of the airports, they've closed them down. They've just stuck with the one or two main taxiways. I'm guessing just through to cost and whatnot. So you just be aware of that when you're flying into these UK airports. I mean, it doesn't really, it's just a game, but if you are trying to be all official and whatnot, and you haven't been to the UK before, or you're not familiar with the area, I highly recommend just using Flight Radar 24. It's the ultimate tool for trying to do real life when you're trying to simulate real world procedures and whatnot. As we're now sort of starting to break through this low cloud layer. Right, we're going to start pulling back the speed. We're getting pretty close to our what's going to be our getting set up on the ILS. So we're going to go into heading mode now. We've been given now some vectoring, so 350, and we'll flick that into the ILS VOR setting number 1, and we'll put down some gear and flaps, and we'll just clear this whole checklist. We can now go to takeoff. We'll just select this too. Right, we're going to arm the approach mode now. We've basically been given clearance to establish ourselves on the localizer and ILS. How far are we from the airport? I should have clicked these things, so we're still a little wee way from the airport. Might be a bit excessive for the landing gear, but when I've been driving trucks in Auckland and driving past along the motorway, I see these ATRs all sort of basically all fully configured for their approach. And the good thing about these ATRs and most prop airlines, from what I understand, they are very quick to bleed off speed. You just these things just act as big spoilers when you throttle them all the way down. So yeah, here we are landing in Teeside Airport, folks, on a bit of a very cold winter's. Technically it's still spring, I guess you could say, but to me, when it's when it's 1 degrees in the UK, winter is winter's all year round, really, isn't it? Alright, we're established on the localizer and the ILS, and we'll just peel back our speed now. And coming up to our next notch now, where we can deploy flaps, full flaps, like so. So when I sort of understand Teeside is almost like, I was going to say Mildspur Airport, but it is, isn't it? This is that was Mildspur that I flew over, so this is like Mildspur, oh not Mildspur, sorry, Sunderland, is it? Oh. So I know Newcastle's further up the coast there, and it's actually not far from Newcastle to Sunderland. Oh no, we're quite a wee way from Sunderland, aren't we? Oh no, that's Mildspur that we flew over. Yeah, I was right with Mildspur. Right, we're going to turn off the autopilot now. We'll turn off the yaw dampeners. We're pretty much all clear for landing. I do like through its little bugs and stuff, and as I've shown you for the last few videos in the ATR, there's workarounds. Like I was one that posted on a flight sim forum about the turnaround being broken. It is broken in a way, but there's workarounds too. Just remember, if you're doing an RMP approach, just scroll your altitude down to the airport elevation and just don't touch the approach button and you'll be fine. There is a little bug sometimes that comes and goes when you can't reset your fuel and confirm takeoff data. I haven't had that for a while now, but it does actually work again eventually when you turn on your engine. Sometimes it's the engine thing that triggers it. And yeah, nice and smooth coming into Teeside. I think it used to be called Durham Valley Airport. Now we're going to try and do a nice smooth landing. That's perfect. That was a perfect landing. I thought I'd fled a bit too much there. But the great thing about these ATRs, they all but stop on a dime, so just pulling back on the reverses just ever so slightly. It's more better range than reverses. Alright, and this is our taxiway here. Using a bit of differential braking to swing that nose around. And here we are, folks, here in Teeside Airport. When I do the gust locks, this is when I do this, set these back to auto so I don't forget. I'm going to set my clock and roughly, we'll try and do a single engine taxi. We'll turn off all of these anti-ice. And we won't go on the grass, so if we are on the grass you guys won't see that. We'll turn off the prop heading. And I think we can... Mind you, we're not far from our taxiway, we're not far from our actual parking stand, so we will feather that engine. I think you have to wait for at least 2 minutes, but This isn't quite real life, so that's fine. Oh, landing lights and strobe lights can now come off. And this will be our taxiway here, which in real life would probably be de-iced and cleared, so I've got no idea where our actual lines are. I think it's just one of those classic... Oh, there is that a faint line there? Yeah, that is a faint line. Definitely one of those classic UK airports where there's no actual taxiways, you just make it up as you go. Oh, turn off our light there, and I think we'll just park it up there. What's that? That's Air Malta, isn't it? No, it's not. Right, we will Air Airbus Star. I've never heard of that airline before. Right, we'll power down that engine, we'll feather that engine number 2, we'll come down here and just clear this checklist. Actually, while we're up here, we'll release the crew. We can turn off that. Oh, bugger. Oops. For some reason there, the parking brake, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to push Y and just go back a step. Alright, we'll now call up the ground power, and we'll get some ground power, and we can now power down the engine, and that concludes our first flight of the day. Clear that. Everything looks pretty good. I think we're all good here. Oh yeah, we'll turn off our fuel pumps so we don't run the batteries dry. And here we are, folks, here at Teeside International Airport. We will set up another flight plan, but we'll leave you guys there and I'll get another flight plan set up and we'll head on somewhere else for Eastern Airlines. Our little tour, our final hurrah with Eastern Airlines. Right, we'll see you guys shortly.